Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at the final of these CreatureReplica figures from their initial wave that I have here to review, and this is my favorite out of all of them. It is the North American Sasquatch. It's one that I was really excited to get, really excited to take a look at, and you can see that the overall package looks beautiful. You've got another very cool image there in the background of the Sasquatch itself, and then once again another very cool shot of the back which has information about the company itself, along with a shot here of the other figures that are in the line as well. So really awesome looking. I'm super excited to take a look at the Sasquatch, as it's my most anticipated figure out of all of these. So let's break it open and take a look at it right now. So here is the base, and just like the last two, we get numerous pegs on the base to put your figure in whatever position you would like. You've also got an opening here on the base, and that is because it also comes with this very cool tree branch, this downed log that is really well sculpted, beautifully painted as well. And then you just kind of place that on here. You just have to push it down into the base when I find the correct spot. We slide that in and it looks beautiful. Really cool touch. I love this kind of stuff. Really love the bases of these figures. And then here is our Sasquatch itself. And straight away you may notice a very big difference between this and the previous figures, and that's the fact that he looks nice and peaceful. He doesn't look mean. He doesn't look angry like the other cryptid figures we've reviewed from CreatureReplica so far. So they really do a great job on what the figure is supposed to represent, and a lot of people believe that Sasquatch would be a kind of a peaceful animal. It just stays away for the most part and kind of wants to be left alone to live its life, and that's really what you see here. You don't see any type of vicious, mean Sasquatch or anything like that. It's a very realistic Sasquatch. It looks intimidating for sure due to its size, bulky nature, and muscular physique, but it also looks kind of friendly almost. So I really love that they've gone that route here with the Sasquatch. They didn't give it any kind of like a movie type of an appearance where it's this big mean creature. Definitely an awesome touch on the part of CreatureReplica, which further proves that they really know what they're doing when it comes to creating these cool cryptid figures, but has me super psyched to look at it up close, so let's do that right now. So taking a look at the head sculpt, look how beautiful looking this is. Really well done. It's such a different looking figure from the others. It truly has such a peaceful appearance to it. Even the eyes are painted in kind of like a non-intimidating way. They're very lifelike, very personality-driven, I will say. You can see they're painted with a brownish color, giving it black pupil, and then the background of the eye is a whitish color. There's also a white spot there on the eye to insinuate eye shine, which looks really cool, and it definitely works. It portrays that quite nicely. You can see that the overall face area of the figure is sculpted very nicely, beautifully sculpted nose, very nicely sculpted lips as well. The detailing of the skin texture on the face is incredibly well done, along with the very nice coloration they've used. And then the area all around the head is nicely covered in fur, and you can see different tones of browns included, darker and lighter areas. Really nice fur detail. You can see the ear creeping through right there, which looks really cool. Both sides, it's sculpted really nicely, and I feel like more often than not, so many companies that do in fact sell a Sasquatch figure, which there's not too many, but the ones that do, they just never really look right to me. Something always looks a little off to me, and that's kind of the same feeling I get when I look at different movies and everything that have Sasquatch in them. But this one really looks beautiful. It honestly looks exactly pretty much like what I would expect a Sasquatch to look like if I ever happen to actually find one and come across one in the woods. It kind of resembles Patty, honestly, from the Patterson-Gimlin film, and that is another really cool feature of the figure. A big selling point on me is just how similar it looks to the Sasquatch in that film, aside from the fact that this one would definitely be a male, whereas that one was a female. But you can definitely see that the overall fur detail as you run down here into the chest area is really nicely done, beautifully sculpted, and again, really nicely painted. You can see different variations of browns throughout, giving it a very realistic appearance as far as body color tones go. You can also get a very strong sense of the muscular physique of the Sasquatch here. You can definitely see that it's very muscular in both the stomach region and chest region. If we take a look at the back, you can really see how broad those shoulders are. The kind of lack of a neck, which is one thing that's kind of a trademark to Sasquatch, along with the very nice paint application back here as well. Really nice shading done all over the place. Beautiful fur detail all over the back as well. I love that in some areas, like right here in the musculature of the arms, the areas have like a little bit shaggier fur, and then other areas kind of actually appears a little bit shaggier too. But then when you get down here, it's a little bit finer of a fur type of an appearance. Definitely a really cool dose of realism to the figure. It also has kind of shaggier fur on the lower parts of the arms and like the forearms and everything. The arms are sculpted really nicely, beautifully painted hands and very nicely sculpted hands. Again, it's not included with any kind of large claws or anything. They're almost human-like fingers, human-like nails, so really a very realistic appearance to this Sasquatch. I absolutely love it. I also love that the hair kind of transitions to like a darker brown. The further down you get on the hands, you see that on this side as well. The arms have a very strong appearance to them as well, very muscular looking. As we come down here into the lower part of the animal, once again, really nice fur detailing, really strong muscular legs. You can definitely make out all the muscle tone really nicely. There are the kneecaps. You can kind of see a little bit protruding through the fur. Really nice calf muscles there. And the feet are pretty much those exact Bigfoot feet that you would expect to see. Really beautifully painted nails on the feet as well. They have a gloss on the nails that help them shine very realistically if my camera would focus on them. Even the nails themselves have very nice detailing throughout. Beautifully sculpted on the undersides of the feet. Also really, really well done. Kind of like showing the padding on the underside of the feet and everything. Beautiful work for sure. Every little area I look at on this Sasquatch is absolutely sculpted to the max and beautifully painted very, very, very realistically. An incredible Sasquatch figure. And then if we look at the base, you can see the base has a very nice forested area, a really beautiful woodland type effect with some nice painting of the rocks here on the edges of the base. Very nice vegetation. Again, painted very realistically with many different tones of greens included. And even the areas of like the dirt, the forest floor have a variation of paint included, helping to make it look very, very realistic. The old kind of a tree stump sticking up out of the ground is also really well sculpted. You can see lots of very nice detail included within. I love that there's even moss and everything included on the inside of the tree stump. A nice vine that's coming up on all over the tree stump as well, the type of thing you would expect to see for sure in a forested area where a Sasquatch might live, along with some vegetation that has since grown on the actual log itself, on the tree stump itself. So the base is beautiful, really complements the figure, and I think it gives a very beautiful appearance overall with the two together. So actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation, then throw it on the base and look at it then. So as far as articulation on our Sasquatch, we've got articulation in the head as far as the neck area goes, and it really works quite nicely. It can also look up and down a little bit, but not too far. And I say that continuously. It's good because, first of all, the fact that Sasquatch doesn't really have much of a neck is really going to prohibit its ability to look up. But it also is good that they didn't over-articulate it, because I feel like needless seams up here where you would have to pull the head up and everything to articulate it probably would have definitely altered the overall beauty of the figure, and I think would have taken away from the figure in the long run. So I'm really glad that they didn't over-articulate it. I think the articulation they gave it is pretty much perfect. You've also got articulation in the shoulder of the figure. It's a little stiff because I haven't really moved it at all. You've of course got articulation right here, and then in the elbow joint as well, along with the wrist, which does swivel very, very nicely. And then you've got that same articulation on both sides, same deal. My articulation right now is a little stiff because I really haven't loosened it up at all, but as I maneuver it around, you can see even the elbow joint is actually getting much easier to move, much smoother. It's just that initial attempt at kind of articulating the figure, it's a little stiff as it hasn't really been moved around too much. And then you've got articulation in the waist area, so you can swivel it, which is a little different than the other figures. The other ones had more of an articulated area of the chest, but I actually like that better here because it looks much more natural for a Sasquatch, along with articulation in the hips right here, and then again in the knee area, as well as the ankle, which can swivel. So there isn't quite as much articulation on the Sasquatch as there was on the other figures, but I actually think that is really good because all of the areas that are articulated on this figure are very natural areas. A lot of the other figures that we looked at are more like supernatural type creatures. I like that they've done like more natural looking articulation on the Sasquatch itself. Definitely a very good choice on the part of CreatureReplica. And then for the figure, you've got the peg right there. You've got a hole on the bottom of the foot. So you're just going to take that hole, you're going to slide it in to the foot right there. Both feet slide in perfectly, and then it stands awesomely on the base. Very cool scene overall to see the Sasquatch standing up there on the base. As far as the size goes, this one is a little bit smaller than the others. So for a height, you're looking at a little over 8 inches, almost 8¼ inches, or about 20½ or 21 actually, more, yeah, about 21 centimeters. As far as the base goes, this direction you've got it at about 5 inches, maybe a little over, or about 13 centimeters. And then for like a width type distance, about 3 inches or 8 centimeters, somewhere in that range. So really nicely sized base, really nicely sized figure. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex along with the Attack Pack Colovisaurus and Robert Muldoon, the 3 that I've used for each and every one of these reviews. And you can see now that the Sasquatch is definitely still very, very large, still much bigger than all of the figures, but you can definitely take note to the fact that it is a little bit smaller than the others. But I really think as far as a Sasquatch figure goes, you won't find any better. It's really beautiful on that base, really nicely sized, and absolutely beautifully sculpted and painted, and you can definitely see that here next to these 3 figures for sure. And then for a final size comparison, here are all 4 of these figures all together. They look amazing next to each other. The Cryptid collection from CreatureReplica is just absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous, as are all 4 of these figures. I am incredibly impressed by each and every one of these. As far as each of the figures go, you've got the Himalayan Yeti, the Louisiana Rougarou, the Horror Hound, and the North American Sasquatch. So as far as each of these figures go, as far as each of these cryptids go, I have never seen and probably will never see a better figure of each than I'm seeing right here from CreatureReplica. So to have them all together, it's amazing. In general, the figures are all sculpted to the absolute max. They are completely portrayed with nothing but absolute realism. This Sasquatch specifically, which is the one that we reviewed here today, is beautiful. I love the sculpt on it. I love the fact that they've gone the opposite direction as far as making this look more like a real living Sasquatch, more of like a not so angry, mean movie monster version like some of these other cryptids are actually portrayed to be. But the Sasquatch is potentially a gentle giant, I guess you could say. It may not be a very mean animal like some of these others are, and they did go ahead and provide us with that version. This isn't a very mean-looking Sasquatch. It's not the type that you should be afraid of. It's the type that is probably going to be producing wood knocks in the forest and kind of tree peeking and hiding from you. Exactly what we all have been led to believe that Sasquatch is exactly the feeling I get when looking at this figure, which gives it such a very realistic appearance to me. I love the sculpt on this. I think the detail is fantastic. Everything on it as far as the paint application is just pure beauty. The base itself is sculpted and painted, again, with the utmost amount of care and love. It all looks so good. Every single one of these figures are surefire wins. They took each of these species and completely knocked every one of them out of the park. CreatureReplica really have outdone themselves on all 4 of these Wave 1 figures for their line, and I couldn't possibly recommend these figures any more than I already am to you guys. Definite high recommendations from me. If you are into cryptids, you should definitely go head over to the CreatureReplica website right now and pick up all 4 of these figures. Trust me when I tell you, you would never in a million years regret it, because all 4 are fantastic. So I will include a link in the description to the CreatureReplica website, to their store, where you can go ahead and start buying some of these amazing cryptid figures for yourself. So make sure you head over there, buy each and every one of these, or specifically whichever one you are in fact interested in. But before you do that, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.